This the end game for the grifters. Harry and Meghan panicked at Omid's revelation. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the King YouTube channel. Well, it just so happened that the Dutch version of Scooby-Doo's book Endgame names King Charles, the king, as the person who made that comment about artificial skin color. Supposedly, King Charles was the one who was wondering about how dark his grandson's skin might be. An exchange of letters between Charles and Meghan, seen by an employee, confirms this, and Charles just wanted to clarify that his comment was not malicious. So since the error that was 100% deliberate, the Dutch version of Endgame has been pulled from the shelves by the Dutch publisher at the request of the US publisher. Personally, I do think that Charles's comment was 100% innocent. Family members are always wondering and making guesses about how their children might turn out. They imagine the little one's eyes, the nose, the cheeks, and yes, the skin color and the hair color too. Families are always going to wonder about whose side of the family an expected baby may take after. So the first question is this: how can a loving speculation be considered racist? And the second question is, as Harry has already said that nothing was ever said with racist connotations, why is he staying quiet while all this is being recycled? And the third question is, who even believes this convenient mistake with Meghan Markle's fingerprints all over it? Who believes that it really was a mistake? I'm sure that you did it with your kids, and I sure did it with my own kids. I wondered if they would have their father's complexion or mine. I wondered if they would get my mouth, if they would have their father's nose, would they have their father's beautiful long eyelashes. It's normal, and shame, shame, shame on Meghan for twisting that comment the same way she twisted Princess Michael of Kent's historical blackamoor brooch to fit her racist narrative. Meghan Markle has always wanted to be a victim. That has always been the game that she wants to play. The royal family needs to realize this is serious. Meghan and Harry will plunge to some really scary depths. Harry's not going to be the first prince to commit treason, and he won't be the first prince to lose everything to the fortunes of war. But the difference is how completely unnecessary Harry's war has been. Incidentally, when all of this is finally over, Meghan can finally join Doria in Monaco. It is really funny how that's probably going to work out. If the person who made the comment really is King Charles, I don't believe it was said in spite. I don't believe he intended the comment to be racist. I mean, we know the king is a naturally curious individual. It's natural to wonder and ask about the skin color of his future grandchild. There is nothing wrong with that. And Harry and Meghan knew exactly what they were doing when they told that skin color story at the Oprah interview. It's baiting people, and it's challenging the royal family to refute their story, knowing good and well the royal family is not going to say anything. Their motto, after all, is never complain, never explain. Those grifters are such nasty, jealous, vindictive people. Also, let's be real here, most of us were led to believe that Meghan was white anyway. She didn't become Nigerian until after she met the prince and President Obama too. President Obama actually is of Nigerian descent. With Harry's red hair and Meghan's skin color, of course people were going to wonder what the baby was going to look like. It is such a shame, though, that the babies aren't real. If they can connect the comments to Harry and Meghan, and I don't see how it could be otherwise, then in my opinion there is certainly a case for treason. And that would mean Parliament and the monarch could officially strip Harry of everything. He would no longer be a duke, he would no longer be a prince, and he would definitely be taken away from the line of succession. He's still going to have his money, his inheritance money, which is going to last him if he can figure out a way to be more careful with their lifestyle. And maybe then we would finally get the peace and quiet we have been waiting for. According to a royal expert, the endgame has hit Buckingham Palace and scuppered Meghan Markle's plans for a US relaunch. Ms. Daniela Elser said, "If you fancy some midweek irony, step right up. Just as a new firestorm engulfed both Buckingham Palace and the House of Montecito, there was Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, an indefatigable trooper in Colombia visiting the Center for Memory, Peace, and Reconciliation." Well, okay, maybe reconciliation is possible in Colombia, but at this point in Buckingham Palace, I don't think so. This week, we have seen the release of the new book Endgame by Harry and Meghan sympathizer Omid Scooby, which has dished up a fresh new round of harmful claims about the firm and all those who punch in every single day. And maybe you're going to think that the biggest loser, the person who has suffered the biggest setback since Scooby-Doo decided to plump for a second bestseller, may be King Charles. He does have some trouble using pens, and he has some trouble making time for Harry. Well, you'd be wrong. Instead, we gotta think about Meghan and Harry here, especially Meghan, as she watches a whole year's worth of hard work go right down the toilet, and it's all thanks to one single solitary slip of ScoobyDoo's new book. Allow me to clarify a little bit. For days now, the pipeline of revelations from ENDGAME have been issuing forth, and to no one's surprise, they portray the firm as a useless bunch of egos hooked on the narcotic of good press. ScoobyDoo claims that Prince William just can't wait to be king, and Catherine is just limp and useless, she's very pliable, and she has to be told to do absolutely everything. And we're expected to believe that King Charles was so sad to have to clip the wings of his brother Prince Andrew. That was certainly bad enough for the palace, and then came the moment that has loomed over their majesties, all the HRHs and the men in grey, since that day in early 2021 when Meghan sat down with Oprah Winfrey. The unmasking of the family member who allegedly raised concerns and conversations about how dark the skin color might turn out to be on an unborn Archie. Now, at the time, Meghan didn't want to name names. She said it would be very damaging to them. Well, now the cat's out of the bag, thanks to a Dutch publisher. The local language version named the so-called royal racist, and the information is out there. And yes, it is a big deal. The royal family right now is dealing with the gravity of all this. Endgame has been pulled from the shelves in the Netherlands, but still, the biggest royal mystery since the princes in the tower has now been solved. According to the Daily Mail's royal editor, Rebecca English, generally speaking about the book, there is shock in palace circles this week. She reported, "I think everyone is shocked at the malice and the deliberate cruelty of what he has written, not to mention the misogyny of much of what he says." Alright, well, we gotta spare a thought in all this for Meghan. Her rebranding efforts have been torpedoed. This year we have seen Meghan change tack, and it's been pretty dramatic too. There hasn't been a single interview rehashing these royal slides or talking about Nelson Mandela. She seems to have gotten over trying to present herself and Harry as these brave and embattled warriors. Instead, Meghan Markle has been mostly quiet. Harry's book Spare came out, and Harry's documentary Heart of Invictus came out, and also Harry's big charity event, the Invictus Games. That was the sum total of Archewell's major output. So maybe this really was Meghan trying to move on, trying to establish herself as Meghan 2.0 and trying to distance herself from the Sussexes of victimhood. For months now, every reporting out of Montecito and London has claimed that Meghan is busy working on some kind of exciting new entrepreneurial digital thing that may or may not be focused on beauty or wellness, or is it skincare? Honestly, I can't keep up with it. ScoobyDoo himself even writes that the real reason Meghan didn't come to the king's coronation was because she didn't want to dive back into the soap opera of the court. Oh yeah, Meghan, because you have nothing at all to do with that royal soap opera, right? In recent months, we have seen Meghan trying to rub elbows with the rich and powerful in Hollywood. She hung out with people like Jeff Bezos, Kris Jenner, the Netflix boss Ted Sarandos, and also Kim Kardashian. She went to a charity fundraiser with Harry hosted by Kevin Costner and featuring Oprah Winfrey too. And she walked the red carpet like a seasoned professional at Variety's Power of Women event. So it does look like Meghan is trying to move on from Meghan and Harry's reputation as TV and podcasting disasters whose successes can be fitted on the back of a beer mat, and she's trying to relaunch herself as an entertainment power player in her own right. But you know what they say about best laid plans, and now Endgame and its Dutch version have completely blown that hope out of the water, because whether or not Meghan likes it, she has been sucked right back into the soap opera. She's back to square one, and she is back to being stuck in those claims of cruelty, unconscious bias, and conniving palace forces that she seemed to want to leave behind, but not really. So Meghan Markle is not going to get the fresh start that she hoped for. Endgame and the allegation that it was Charles who had concerns over Archie's skin color has just ruined Meghan's project to move on brand-wise from the events of recent years. In the previous book that was written by ScoobyDoo and the co-author Carolyn Durand, Finding Freedom, he writes of a moment in March 2020 when Meghan and Harry undertook their final official engagement, saying, "As Meghan gave me a final hug goodbye, she said, it didn't have to be this way." Well, I don't think I could have put it better myself. And you, do you agree with the views in my video? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. If you think this video is useful, don't be afraid to like and share it with anybody else who would love it anytime you want. And please subscribe to our Kate Middleton and the Queen channel to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, goodbye, and I'll be back to see you all tomorrow. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.